Have you ever seen a man everyone ignores become the one nobody can't forget? Well, today you will. But before we dive into this story, comment below where you are watching from. And if you enjoy this tale with unexpected twists and moments of joy, don't forget to subscribe. That was Malik Carter, a quiet black janitor with scuffed boots, faded overalls, and a mop that squeaked across courtroom floors like it belonged there more than he did. Nobody looked at him twice. Not the lawyers, not the judge, certainly not Officer Brad Dalton. See, Dalton was a white cop with a record dirtier than the floors Malik cleaned, but somehow he kept walking free. Always a smile, always a badge to shield him. He walked into that courtroom on a Tuesday morning, laughing, tossing a wink at Malik like he was part of the furniture. "You missed a spot, janitor," he chuckled loud enough for the crowd to hear. The courtroom laughed with him. Even the judge smirked. Malik didn't respond, just kept cleaning. That day's case was another one of Dalton's. Another black kid brutalized, 17 years old, face smashed into a sidewalk, broken jaw, shattered dignity. Dalton claimed he feared for his life. Same story, different day. The defense was weak. The public defender didn't know half the case. It was heading toward another quiet dismissal. But then the back door creaked open. The room turned. The prosecutor walked back in, her face pale. She cleared her throat, trembling slightly. "The new counsel for the plaintiff is Malik Carter." Laughter erupted. "The janitor?" someone said. Dalton roared, "You gotta be kidding me." But Malik was already peeling off his gloves. The overalls dropped to reveal a navy blue tailored suit underneath, clean, sharp. He stepped forward, calm, silent, reached into the mop bucket, pulled out a sleek leather case, snapped it open. Georgia bar license, Harvard Law, graduated top of his class. For a moment, the courtroom froze. You could feel the shift, the weight, the power. The judge leaned forward, stunned. "Mr. Carter, you may proceed." Malik gave one nod. "Thank you, Your Honor." He didn't just cross-examine Dalton. He dismantled him, exposed every crack. "Why was your body cam turned off?" Dalton stumbled. "Why does the footage show both his hands on the ground when you said he reached for your gun?" Dalton tried to explain, but his voice was shaky. "He was resisting." "He never spoke a word," Malik said, holding up Dalton's own report. The judge didn't say a thing. He just watched. Then Malik played a second video. One no one had seen. A dash cam. Different angle. Dalton was smiling as he slammed the boy's head into the pavement. There was no threat. Just violence. Just dominance. Just proof. Gasps echoed. Dalton's lawyer begged for recess. Denied. The courtroom was his now. Malik didn't raise his voice. Didn't flinch. He didn't need to. His silence hit harder than Dalton's fists ever did. The gavel dropped. Charges against the officer. Perjury, misconduct. Maybe more. The press swarmed Malik outside. "Why mop floors when you're this brilliant?" a reporter asked. Malik stared straight into the camera. "Because when you're black, poor, and quiet, they never see you coming. But that's the point. They don't see power until it's staring them in the face." That should have been the end. It wasn't. That night, Malik returned home to his one-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy. Just silence and a pile of unopened mail. But one envelope stood out. No name, no return address. Inside, a single photo. Faded. Grainy. A young boy, bloodied, being dragged by a cop. The date stamped across the corner. July 3rd, 1995. Malik stared at it, hands trembling. He knew that face. The boy was him. He flipped the photo. 2 words were scribbled on the back. "Find him." But it wasn't Dalton in the photo. The man holding him by the collar was someone else, someone higher. The same man who sat in that courtroom today. The same man who called Malik Mr. Carter with fake respect, the judge, and if this photo was real, it meant the judge knew who Malik was, had buried his past, had buried him, and now Malik knew the truth. And truth, in the wrong hands, is dangerous. He looked back at the photo one more time, then at the door. Something told him he wasn't alone. The story wasn't over. In fact, it was just the beginning. The night was thick with silence, but Malik's mind was louder than ever. That photo burned in his hand like a confession, a secret dragged from the grave. He couldn't sleep, couldn't breathe right. Because if that judge really did what the photo suggested, then this wasn't just about justice anymore. It was personal. It was war. The next morning, Malik didn't go back to court. He went digging. First stop, public records. He pulled every file from 95 he could find, every complaint, every arrest. And just like he feared, his own childhood case was missing. Vanished. Like it never happened. No police report, no hospital intake, no complaints. But Malik remembered. He was 10. He had been walking home from school. A white woman screamed, said her purse was missing. The cops didn't ask questions. They dragged him into the alley behind the church, beat him so bad he couldn't open his left eye for a week. And the cop who gave the final kick to his ribs, it was him, Judge Alton Graves. Back then, just another officer with a badge and a temper. Now, one of the most powerful men in the state, and the man who signed off on nearly every one of Officer Dalton's cases, including the one Malik just exposed. It all connected. A chain of cover-ups, a system built to protect itself. But now, there was a crack, and Malik planned to break it wide open. He went to an old friend next, Marissa Lane, a former reporter turned private investigator. She owed him. Back in law school, he kept her out of jail when she crossed a senator for a story. He handed her the photo, said nothing. She took one look, and her face turned stone cold. "You sure you want to go after him?" Malik didn't blink. "I'm not going after him," he said, voice low. "I'm exposing everything he built." She didn't ask more questions, just nodded. Within hours, she found something, hidden deep. A sealed juvenile file. A boy named M. Carter, age 10, assaulted by a police officer. The file was flagged, sealed by judicial order, signed Judge A. Graves. He'd buried it himself. That was the proof. Malik stared at the signature like it was a knife. This man hadn't just attacked him. He'd erased him, controlled his silence for over 20 years. But now, that silence had teeth. Malik gathered the evidence, compiled the files. He crafted a motion to unseal the record. But he didn't file it in Georgia. He sent it to a federal civil rights court in D.C., and that's when the real threats started. 2 days later, Malik's tires were slashed. His building got broken into. Nothing was stolen, just moved. A message. That night, he found a note taped to his mirror. "Let it go, or we'll make you wish you had." No signature, just fear. But Malik didn't flinch. He recorded everything, called Marissa. "They know," he said. "Then we hit harder," she replied. She traced the judge's rise to power. Turns out Graves wasn't just a judge. He was part of a closed network. Retired officers, DAs, and state judges who met behind closed doors. A brotherhood. They called themselves the Bench. And Graves wasn't just a member. He was their founder, their fixer. And Malik? He was the one thing they couldn't control. Malik planned to go public, a press conference, a full release of documents, names, dates, sealed files, buried complaints. But the night before the announcement, Marissa vanished. Her phone went dead. Her apartment, emptied, files gone, no signs of struggle, just one thing left behind on the kitchen counter. Malik's photo, the one from '95. But this time there was a new note on the back. In red ink, one word. "Stop." Malik's hands shook. His voice failed. But his fire, it didn't go out. He went dark. No phone, no public appearances. Disappeared from court. Everyone thought he quit, that he got scared. But what they didn't know was that he was planning something else. 3 weeks later, a video leaked online. A hidden recording. Judge Graves. Laughing. Joking. Talking about cleaning up the streets and how some kids need to be reminded they're nothing. The voice was clear. The face, blurry but recognizable. And the audio, admissible. The internet exploded. Activists, lawyers, journalists, everyone demanded answers. The governor announced an investigation. Graves denied it all, said it was AI, said it was fake. But Malik wasn't done. He sent a message to the DA's office. "You have 48 hours to act, or I will." And then he disappeared again. No one knows where he went. Some say he fled, some say he's in hiding, but others say he's just getting started. Because the last thing Graves received before he vanished? A manila envelope. Inside, every sealed file from the bench's private database, and a note written in Malik's hand. "You buried me alive. Now watch what grows." Malik never returned to law. He didn't have to. His story had already become something bigger than him. It became a symbol, a blueprint, a warning. That no matter how long injustice hides behind robes and titles, truth will come. And sometimes, on quiet nights, Malik would walk past courthouses with a mop in hand. Not to clean, just to remember. Because some battles don't leave scars, they leave a legacy. And Malik Carter, he didn't just survive the system. He rewrote it.